We got to upgrade the offensive line, and you're paying the guy $40 million. It's not to hand the ball off to a $12 million back.
Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
So unless you're living under a rock, you saw the Giants last year in off-season Hard Knocks. And this went so bad that the NFL doesn't even do off-season Hard Knocks anymore because Joe Schoen's reputation went from most of the league really liking the guy and thinking that he was a great GM to being like a laughingstock. Now, last season was a complete disaster PR-wise, but guess who's gonna be in Hard Knocks in season now? The NFC East. The entire NFC East is going to be on Hard Knocks, and I'm pretty sure, I have a hunch. Now, listen, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't talked to anybody. I don't have those kind of connections, but I would be pretty sure that the reason that they picked the NFC East for Hard Knocks this year is because the Giants are in this division. First off, people want to see a continuation of what happened last year. They want to see, what if he's learned, all those things. They want to see a continuation. They also want to see this Giants draft class. The Giants have been a huge talking point for this year. They've been a huge talking point for this year with their draft class. They want to see Abdul Carter. They want to see Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson in that quarterback room along with Jackson Dart. They want to see that guy develop. Cam Scatterboo is a popular name. So there are some really exciting storylines that Hard Knocks could explore just for the Giants in general. Of course, also you have the Eagles, you have the Commanders, two teams that were in the NFC Championship with the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. We haven't really seen too much of that. We haven't seen too many teams coming off of a Super Bowl, coming off of an NFC Championship that are on Hard Knocks. So HBO decided to go with the NFC East as their team. And also, of course, you got the Cowboys. That's a circus. Let's see what George Pickens is going to do here. I don't think you'll see too much there with him acting crazy. But again, we're selected. It's the second time. And I really think that this is a chance for Joe Schoen, PR-wise, to bring himself back. Now, he's not going to be the star of the show. The star of the show is probably going to be Brian Daboll. And I think Brian Daboll is a lot more likable than Joe Schoen is, to be honest with you. I think Brian Daboll is a guy that most people like. Even when Joe Schoen was under fire, Brian Daboll kind of dodged it. And Joe Schoen just kind of rubs people the wrong way. I mean, he kind of does. So Brian Daboll is probably going to be the star of this show. Of course, you'll have the Jackson Dart story, the whole everything else that goes under that. You're going to see how he develops. And just think about this. Think about the footage that we'll have as Giants fans. We've already dealt with all the losing over the last couple of years. And I mean, at this point, throw us a bone. Give us Hard Knocks. Throw us a bone. But we've already dealt with the losing. But imagine how it would feel to have our franchise quarterback, the guy who ends up turning into a franchise quarterback, elite quarterback, knock on wood. If he does that, just imagine how legendary it will be to have the film of his entire rookie season as he develops behind Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. So I'm definitely excited to see that more than anything. The next thing I'll be excited to see is Jameis Winston. Now, Jameis Winston is a character. I'm sure he's going to use this with cameras there. Are you kidding me? With cameras there, Jameis Winston is going to use every single opportunity to make sure that when he retires in a couple of years, TV will be there for him. It's already going to be there, but now it's really going to be there. He's going to be the star of Hard Knocks. I mean, he's going to be the star. People are going to be tuning in to see what Jameis does. They're going to be calling for Jameis to play. Fans of other teams, they're going to be tuning in just to see what Jameis says and does. You're also going to get a look at Abdul Carter and Scatterboo. And Scatterboo is going to be a guy that probably is a guy that they'll probably follow because he's a guy that's going to be a young rookie. He's going to be a guy that runs extremely hard. So, if they mic him up or anything during the season, he's going to be a guy that is going to be fun to mic up. Dexter Lawrence is a character. Thinking of other guys, I think those are your major characters out there. But this is also going to be our chance to just see a lot of players that we never really thought of from a different light, like Thibodeau, guys like Andrew Thomas, guys who Thibodeau's kind of outspoken, but Andrew Thomas doesn't really talk much. Darius Alexander, I think, is a single father from what I've heard. So there's going to be a lot of stories like that. And of course, the superstar I'm missing out on is they're going to probably be following around Malik Neighbors everywhere he goes. Now, first off, Malik Neighbors, he is going to be probably playing with a heavy heart. He did end up losing Kyron Lacey, who was a really good friend of his, really good friend of Jaden Daniels at LSU. And rest in peace to Kyron Lacey. So that's going to be a storyline that they're going to be following. And you're probably going to get a lot of vulnerability from that. And then beyond that, he's just going to be an entertaining player to watch. And what could be a historical season. Maybe Malik Neighbors goes out there and gets a triple crown. Maybe he goes out there with Russell Wilson and actually has a quarterback. And instead of getting 1,200 yards on 150 million targets, he gets 120 catches and 1,500 yards. Maybe he does that. You're also going to have guys like Slayton, who's going to finally be playing with an NFL quarterback. The last time Slayton played with a respectable quarterback was with Eli Manning, and you saw what he did. He put up 100-plus yards. He got multiple bombs. When is the last time we've seen guys catch multiple bombs in a game? Since Darius Slayton did that in 2019. So I'm excited to see how all these players are going to be portrayed. Of course, there's going to be a lot less pressure because the Giants aren't going to be in the spotlight. And when I say that, I mean we're not going to be the only team that's going to be spotlighted. So it's not going to be so heavily focused on the Giants that nothing else is happening, because you are going to be following around the Cowboys, which, if anything, Jerry Jones is going to be out there doing stuff. And I'm sure Schottenheimer is either going to become a really good coach and the Cowboys are going to make the playoffs, or he's just going to be a disaster and they'll finish last place in the NFC East. So that's a storyline to follow. And then you got Jaden Daniels, who's out there on the VR headset. Maybe we'll see him on the VR headset. You got Debo there. You got a lot of personalities there. I wish Darius Slay was still on the Eagles. That guy is hilarious. That guy's a guy that is a funny follow. But he's not going to be on the Eagles anymore. But you're going to have plenty of entertaining stuff to go on. But I just really thought this was funny after that whole last year thing with Saquon Barkley leaving and Joe Shane being villainized by the entirety of the NFL because he was on Hard Knocks, because he said that he thought he had a good understanding of the running back market and he completely misjudged the market. That was so embarrassing for Joe Shane to be on TV with. It was so embarrassing. But hopefully we finish this season, and when Hard Knocks comes out in December, hopefully we wrap this up feeling like we got some good footage that we could use in a winning season. So I'm excited for it. I mean, what do we have to lose? If the season is bad, at least we'll have something entertaining to watch. But you all let me know what you're thinking of the Giants being on Hard Knocks for the second year in a row.